According to the Drug Policy Alliance, the United States spends close to $47 billion on the war on drugs annually. To put that in perspective for you, that would be like paying to attend college for 1,880,000 years, at the cost of $25,000 per year. Today we are going to discuss the benefits to the much-needed legalization of marijuana. My father has worked for the state of Wisconsin in state penitentiaries for as long as I can remember. I often hear stories about how the majority of the populations are composed solely of those incarcerated for drug-related offenses. This has sparked my interest for years and has led me to completing several projects on the issue. I have always been a firm believer in legalizing marijuana because of the benefits that go along with it. There will most likely come a time in each of your lives where you don't feel good. Either you have a headache or you just feel nauseated. Maybe you experience chronic pain, or maybe you suffer from multiple sclerosis or irritable bowel syndrome. Whatever the case, marijuana is proven to help mitigate or relieve symptoms of this nature. Throughout my presentation, we will be exploring two main benefits to legalizing marijuana. One, the medical advantages, and two, the potential for government revenue. Marijuana needs to be legalized because of its medicinal advantages. There are medicinal advantages to legalizing marijuana for both medical and recreational purposes. There are a number of diseases that have side effects that can be mitigated through the use of marijuana. Peter Grinspoon stated in an article that was recently published by the Harvard Health Publishing Group that medical marijuana is most commonly used in the U.S. for pain control. Grinspoon continues to explain that the great part of the hype over marijuana is that, quote, it is impossible to overdose on, and it is far less addictive, end quote. Medical marijuana is a great alternative to having to take painkillers that relieve chronic pain, especially for those with sensitivity to NSAIDs, or those that simply can't take them due to issues with their kidneys or stomach ulcers. People battling conditions with chronic pain associated with them, such as fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and interstitial cystitis, can also use marijuana for pain relief as well, Grinspoon explains. Aside from chronic pain, marijuana is known to be a great muscle relaxant. This is extremely helpful for those that are affected by the tremors associated with Parkinson's disease. Not only does marijuana help with certain symptoms that coincide with medical conditions for which medical marijuana could treat, but it also provides help to those that suffer from everyday symptoms that those with access to recreational marijuana could benefit from. According to Very Well Health, marijuana can be used to manage nausea and weight loss. As explained by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, THC is also proven to help inflammation, redness, and swelling. The NIDA also explains that there are studies that have shown that marijuana use can help those suffering from any given mental illness. Marijuana has the potential to help treat and mitigate the symptoms that go along with chronic diseases as well as everyday illnesses. Not only are the medical advantages clear for legalizing marijuana, but so are the potential profit advantages on behalf of the state and federal governments. Marijuana needs to be legalized because of the potential for government revenue. There is a large percentage of the incarcerated population in the United States that are doing time strictly for drug-related convictions. By legalizing marijuana, expunging the charges for those convicted of the crime, and correctly taxing the product, the governments will rake in unfathomable amounts of revenue. Drug Policy Alliance states that in 2016, there were roughly 2 million people incarcerated in the United States. Of those 2 million people, approximately 500,000 were incarcerated for a drug law violation. In 2017, there were roughly 700,000 people arrested for marijuana law violations. 90.8% of those individuals were arrested for possession only. What most individuals fail to realize is that incarceration costs, on average, $31,000 per inmate each year. The Vera Institute of Justice also notes that in some states, one inmate can cost the state government close to $60,000 a year. According to the Recovery Center organization, about 51% of federal prisoners had a drug offense listed as their most serious conviction in 2009. A significant portion of the overcrowding of our state and federal penitentiaries can be alleviated through the legalization of marijuana, as it would go hand in hand with the expunging of all marijuana-related crimes committed in the U.S. The ACLU organization noted that states waste nearly $4 billion each year just by strictly enforcing marijuana laws. The Drug Policy Alliance calculated that if current illegal drugs were to be taxed comparably to alcohol or tobacco products, the tax revenue that the legalization would yield annually in the United States is $58 billion. When you add those two figures together, the United States could save and earn a total of $62 billion each year. There is a significant percentage of the incarcerated population in the United States that is doing time strictly for marijuana-related crimes. The legalization of marijuana would go hand in hand with expunging related crimes to marijuana and would ultimately save and earn the United States $62 billion each year. Today, we explored the medical advantages to legalizing marijuana and the potential for government revenue. Every single working American would benefit in some way, shape, or form to the legalization of marijuana. As someone who doesn't use the drug myself, I see the monetary benefits that the U.S. would experience through a piece of legislation of this nature. The United States could pocket $62 billion each year just by making this harmless, helpful substance legal. The United States legislators need to make a bill of this nature a priority.